Good afternoon. Welcome to the regular City Council meeting for Tuesday, April 24th, and the regular Public Housing Authority meeting. With us today to lead us in the flag salute, we have members from Ferguson Elementary School. So if you'll please stand for the flag salute and then remain standing for the invocation.
Put your right hand over your heart. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The peace pledge?
Ready, begin. I am a peace builder. I pledge to praise people, to give up put downs, to seek wise people, to notice and speak up about hurts I have caused, to right wrongs, to help others. I will build peace at home, at school, and in my community each day.
Okay, I understand they have a presentation they'll be giving in a couple of minutes as well. So if now, we'll ask the city clerk to give the invocation.
Blessed Father, out of the mouths of children, their Peace Builders pledge says it all. This is what we should strive for as adults, to not hurt people, to build up people, to encourage people, to have the strength to stand up for what is right. This is the rights that you gave us under your realm, and we thank you for that. And we thank you for these young people that are learning at an early age what it means to be accountable. We thank you so very much for the teachers and the workers and staff here at City Hall and all the people that work with these young people, because without them, our young people would be wandering and not where they're at academically or emotionally. And Father, we do thank you for that. Just be with us as we do the business of the city tonight, and just keep your watch care over us and your loving arms around us. Amen.
Amen. Okay, thank you. Roll call, please.
Director Bach. Director Mahar.
Here.
Councilman Director Canada.
Here.
Councilmember Director Rodriguez.
Here.
Councilmember Director Bruce.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Vice Chairman Farfan.
Here.
Mayor Chairmember Gomez.
Here.
You have a quorum.
All right, thank you. Okay, we move on to presentations and proclamations. We have a few on there, so if will join me over here by the microphone. First presentation we have is a certificate of achievement to Eddie De La Huerta. He's one of the boxers in our boxing program, and he won the 132-pound novice division recently in a competition of the Los Angeles Golden Gloves. And I think it's apropos that we recognize him today, being that our own homegrown world now super bantamweight champion Abner Mares just won the title this past weekend in his bout. So it says a lot about our boxing program, about the team that works there with these kids, the training they give them, the dedication to them. So with that, I want to congratulate Eddie De La Huerta, and I hope he's here to come up and receive this certificate. Eddie? He's not here. Oh, okay, I guess he's running late. So we'll put this aside. Next, we have a presentation of a monetary donation to the Ferguson Elementary School. As you know, has been our policy, for many years now, thanks to the city council members who preceded us, is to give money back to the community. And one of the ways we do it is by donating $5,000 to each of the schools to service the kids in our community on an annual basis. So Ferguson approached us. I guess they're going to science camp pretty soon, and they need some help. So we're very happy to do whatever we can and present you with this check for $5,000. So Principal Myers-Lano's here. So would you want to come on up? And the students, yes, and the students.
Oh, and do we have the DVD? Can we show the DVD? Do we have something we show here?
Oh, right now?
Yes, so as always, we want to thank the city. We are very lucky to have the support of the city, as you can see here. This donation has always come very handy, and we brought a DVD that shows last year's experience that the children have during the science camp. The donation that the city provides us with helps the families bring down the cost. So they have a wonderful experience, and we hope you enjoy this short presentation that Mr. Calderon, one of our sixth grade teachers, puts together. And so I know that these sixth graders for this year are going to have a great experience. They're going to be going in June. So thank you very much for your support.
And let me take this paper out of my little hands and hand it to you.
And like we always say, go Patriots! But thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
We'll have this here for you next year. Thank you. Okay. Okay, next we have a presentation, a PowerPoint by the members of the Tri-City Hospital Public Relations Division, Mr. Jay Gear, and it's about the Activate Hawaiian Gardens program that they're trying to introduce into the community.
Amongst ourselves. We have to do it next. Tell you what, I want you to tell me next when you want to do it.
Okay. You gonna do it from? Bashir is going to operate the PowerPoint from the back, so we'll wait for him to get it teed up. Next, Bashir. What I'd like to address, Mr. Mayor, council members, is when you drive into the parking lot of this fine facility every day, there is a beautiful marquee that welcomes you to Hawaiian Gardens. And the motto of the city says, "Our youth, our future," resonates very well with this community. And what I'd like to talk about today strikes to the core of that motto, not only for Hawaiian Gardens, but for all cities in California and across the country, and that is the issue of childhood obesity. What I'd like to talk about today is how this condition affects the community in particular, and some of the things that both the city, the Tri-City Regional Medical Center, and ABC Unified have been doing over the last months to address this issue in a very collaborative and very unique agenda. It's called Activate Hawaiian Gardens, and really it goes to the core of addressing a very long-term problem that has reached an epidemic proportion. As you can see on this PowerPoint, that about 1/3 of all adults and about 17% of the children across the country are classified as obese. What's alarming to many public health officials is that these rates have doubled in the last 20 years. In Hawaiian Gardens, and this is according to data from the Los Angeles County Department of Public Health, the rate of childhood obesity is 32.9%. Almost 1 out of 3. So much that it has been classified as an epidemic, much like other health issues that have been classified as an epidemic in past histories. Really, we've reached a problem, again, not just in Hawaiian Gardens, but in communities across Southern California. But we believe that the integration of many elements within the community can address this front on, and we clearly would like your support and feedback from this initiative. Next, please, Bashir. Why is this important? because we're not talking about children that just have, a weight problem. The real consequences is that obesity causes death, early death. So the consequences is that there's premature death and often a life of chronic disease, particularly diabetes, heart disease. These numbers are very, very startling when you look at the numbers from Hawaiian Gardens and the surrounding communities. But we're not just in an island here. This is happening in communities all throughout California. Next, please, Bashir. But the reality is that the community does care. I mean, clearly, I can't think of a stronger integrated approach that the city has when it comes to activities and playtime. The city has exercise programs, after-school programs. It has school-based programs that encourage exercise. We have an ABC Unified School District that's award-winning. It incorporates the teachings of diet and exercise in its classrooms. We also have a hospital that is one of the largest in the United States, and clearly the Western United States, as a center of excellence in obesity care. So we've got unbelievable stakeholders, so of course we care. Next, please. But the issue is that if we don't integrate that single solutions, in other words, it doesn't matter how much playtime kids may get or how incorporated obesity education is in the school or in access to healthcare services, if they are not integrated, if they are not working in collaboration, it yields zero result. So we've analyzed a lot of data around the country from other institutions, public health officials, that have reached the conclusions that we need a single solution. And that is an agenda that hopefully incorporates all of the elements of the city, the ABC Unified School District, as well as the community health providers to all get on the same page. And that really is what the vehicle is Activate Hawaiian Gardens. Next, please, Bashir. So what is Activate Hawaiian Gardens? It is a landmark. There is really no program like this proposed in the Western United States that collaborates the school, the city, as well as the local healthcare community to put this as a priority, a public health priority. What we'd like to start with, step one, is basically take a snapshot of where we are. And that is what's called a benchmark. And we would basically measure some critical elements of the current, beginning next year, the current kindergartners. Measure their body mass index, their blood pressure, the blood glucose level, and then see again in a year so that we've got a tracking mechanism to see if we can actually make a difference. Some of the other elements and why we select kindergartners is because we can then have a systemic evolution of their development. Grade 1, grade 2, they become mentors to their younger brothers, their younger classmates. And it is a system, in particular, one that has been encouraged and studied at UCLA that works. And so we would like to use best practices here to take a snapshot of where we are, integrate some of these elements, and see if we can actually start making a difference. Some of the other elements are behavior change, school-based education, city-based outreach. Clearly, we've got a lot of activities. We've got a brand new sports center. You just walk across the hall and you can see all of the kids playing. But if we can start integrating so that school, after school, home, and their healthcare providers are all on the same page in terms of obesity reduction, we can start to at least chip away at some of these numbers. Next, please. The collaborators, of course, are the hospital. Next, please. The hospital, ABC Unified School District, as well as the city of Hawaiian Gardens. The first intervention really is a focused intervention specifically targeting our kindergartners in our city. We've got a very geographically defined city, and that makes it a very unique and very actually a great campaign because we do have a very confined environment. We have schools that are already on board. We have teachers that are encouraged. We have healthcare providers that are encouraged to work within this framework. And bottom line is we need to reach our not only our children, but their families. So the first intervention is really about teaching the teachers. Next, please. Other educational components include informational interventions, behavioral interventions, and environmentally. Basically, we've got to stop kids from playing video games and watching TV. We've got to encourage them to become active and use the resources that the city provides, and we've got to educate them about the foods they eat. Next, please. Oh, we're good. The third and probably one of the most important interventions has to do with breastfeeding. We know that children that are breastfed have a 20% reduction in terms of their risk of becoming obese. It is a tremendous benefit right out of the gate. Yet the compliance with breastfeeding is often fails to amaze a lot of public health officials that the reality is that not a lot of women do it. So we need to encourage and educate more, and particularly from our provider community, we're encouraged to do that. This is all outreach oriented. This is not us just putting out flyers. This is outreach that will include sessions in the schools, sessions in the home, sessions at the community level, as well as at the hospital and doctor level. Next, please, Bashir. Clearly, special education programs, and again, depending on the model of our campaign, we also have other stakeholders in this community that play a very important role, and that includes our churches, our preschool, our after-school programs. All of these need to be integrated into the campaign. And the good news is that there's a lot of passionate people that are involved in all of these elements, and what we really need to do is just encourage and support that passion to get behind this campaign. Bashir? Now, clearly, when we talk about the City of Hawaiian Gardens, I can't think of another community that is so involved in sports, after-school programs. I mean, you get an A+ across the board in all of the activities that are offered. We couldn't ask for a better community to leverage, to encourage more participation. Next, please. We also have an award-winning school district whose superintendent and others are behind this program because they believe that at the school-based level, they can play a very important role in not only in mentoring, just as teachers themselves, but as a venue for educating their students about the benefits of exercise as well as specific diet and food recommendations. Next, please. So in a sense, what we'd like to do today is to provide a little bit of an overview of this and ask for your encouragement and support of this program. Clearly, we are on the front lines of it. There's been a lot of hours, probably 200 or 300 man-hours already developed into this program by a lot of the medical providers in the community that have taken it upon themselves to say, if we don't do something about this right now, shame on us. And we've got a city that's active, we've got a school district that is absolutely proactive, and we've got a lot of medical providers in this community that are willing to donate their time and resources to make a difference. And it's up to us to organize and implement this program so that we can put it in motion and achieve critical mass. And we'd like to start next year in 2013. This year, clearly planning, making sure all of our stakeholders are in line. And in fact, even the general manager of, I think, Sam's Club is here tonight because he had heard about it and was excited to participate in it. We've also talked to other businesses in the area that said they would encourage, put signage in their facilities because they realize that this is a very critical community need. And I would clearly like to propose that we put the ACT and Activate Hawaiian Gardens starting tonight. Thank you very much.
Jay, I just wanted to say that, yes, I have been in meetings with you and part of the process, and I just want to assure everybody he's correct that we have met multiple times with representatives from the school district, the superintendent and the assistant superintendent and staff members, and they have expressed their desire to be full on board. Even Principal Lozana here has been a big advocate for this program. So it's really encouraging. But I think the next question is, as we've been in a lot of meetings, what do we have to do to kick the program off?
Well, I think it's important to coalition build. Clearly, this is a volunteer-based program with people that are willing to put their time and effort into it. And I think that to kick it off, we need support. And that means we need everybody on the same page. There really isn't a downside to this program at all, other than better health and a better future for our community. And I think that support, opening doors so that we make sure that our business community, our elected leaders clearly are supportive, but there are other stakeholders that we need to reach and make sure that we're all working together. That really, if you look across the country at initiatives that work, it's those that integrate and work together really show results. Bottom line is if we all do it in our own little playground areas, we really don't achieve any results long term. And so it's the integration of these elements that are key. And in order to integrate them, we need to make sure everybody's on the same page and understands what the goals and objectives of this program are. It's not complex. It's not rocket science. It's basic education. And it's also basic outreach. And we have a lot of volunteers that are willing to contribute their time and energy to make a difference. How do we start? We start by coalition building, which we started tonight. And I do appreciate your support, Mayor. You have been a champion of this program, and I appreciate you giving us the agenda.
All right, thank you. Anybody else have any questions or comments?
Yes, I'd like to know how long will this program continue?
Well, ideally, indefinitely.
Definitely.
The idea is to put it in motion so that it becomes a protocol, a lesson plan, that basically it happens without thought, so that these elements are part of a natural daily existence. It takes effort to get to that tipping point. We figure that there probably will take us a year to 18 months to at least, starting at the school year next year, to at least get to our point where we can actually have all of our programs implemented. But once we push it forward, then it becomes a generational aspect where the first graders teach the kindergartners. We use the peer system to help us. It's a cultural phenomenon that we're trying to create. And in order to do that, we need to tip it one way. And that typically takes 12 to 18 months, starting with next year.
I'm glad to hear about this program because I just had seen my primary care doctor, and I was asking him, why are so many people becoming diabetics? And I told him, it's almost like an epidemic. And he said, yes, it is. He says, because there are so many people that are overweight and children too.
That's right.
So I'm glad to hear about your program.
Thank you very much. Any other questions?
You stated that we should start at kindergarten. How will you implement that?
Alexander? Why don't you address that? Dr. Alexander, I think, can address that a little better. This is his brainchild, particularly on the kindergarten.
Yeah, I understand. Can you please repeat question?
The statement was that we should start with our kindergarten kids. How will you start it? How will you implement at that low level?
Okay. So first what we need, we want to make a benchmarking study of kindergarten students. Their blood pressure, their glucose level, and their weight. Because we have to... Problem is that there are a lot of... There are a lot of programs in the United States and no one works. Because nobody knows from what point they are starting this program, their program. So we want to know from where we are now and want to start from, that's why we will start from kindergarten level. We will measure these kids of kindergarten, from kindergarten, and next year, when we will make the same benchmarking, we will see what's the result of our program? That's why we will start from kindergarten level. It doesn't mean that we will finish on kindergarten level. It means that next year it will be 2 levels: kindergarten, new kindergarten coming, students, and students that become first grade students. So in 2 years we will have 3 levels when we will see numbers from new kindergartens, first grade, and second grade. And this program, we will teach students, we will teach parents on all these levels. We will start from kindergarten to know where we are now. But then this program is at least for 8 years, for all elementary school years and for middle school years.
Actually, I've witnessed a lot of kids before kindergarten getting really bad nutritional habits from their parents.
Yes.
I've seen kids drinking Kool-Aid out of bottles. I've seen bad, candy given to children when they were just little infants. So I think by the time they get into kindergarten, a lot of these kids already have really bad habits.
Absolutely. So the main part of our program, as Jay told already and we showed, it's, we have to change lifestyle of kids and families. In case of to do that, we have to educate parents. So main part of our project is 9 sessions for parents of kindergarten students. We don't want to show you, it's a lot of lectures and a lot of topics, including how to change behavior, how to stop to eat junk food, how to make more exercise routine. And so it is about this program, first and only one time was implemented in UCLA. They developed it, and it gave very good results. So this is why we are telling that it's collaborative. So we will work with parents. So there are 3 main stakeholders in problem of obesity. First, family. Second, school. And third, community. So we will work on all these 3 levels. You're absolutely right. Main problem is family. We have to educate parents regarding healthy lifestyle. And we have special program that includes at least 9 educational sessions.
The majority of our residents here are Spanish speaking.
Yes, sir.
How will we be able to get it across to them? Are we going to have Spanish-speaking instructors and so on?
Thank you for question. Very good question. That study that I mentioned in UCLA, it was created and made for low-income Latino communities. And all these lectures, educational sessions, were on Spanish, for Spanish people. We will not need some translator because it will be on Spanish.
Everything will be bilingual.
Okay.
So, how is all this going to be funded? I mean, I know that everybody's going to have to pitch in to continue on with this program now at the beginning and all the way to the end. How are we going to fund all this? Or
Okay.
Clearly, the funding part we have not addressed directly because we've not yet put together a budget. Much of this program can be implemented into existing programs that are already in place. In other words, changing curriculums at the school level, outreach to the school level does not cost anything. The hospital has committed to pick up the cost of the benchmark study and the analysis of all of the lab work and the physician integration of all of that, they will do it on their dime. So in the city programs, the great news is that all of the city programs are already free. So we really don't see this as being a budget issue. There clearly will be a budget that will be needed to create it for collateral materials, some of the tools that we will need, and we will put together a budget. We're not there yet because we just don't know how much and how many children we're going to try to reach. Once we get a little bit more of an analysis completed in terms of our outreach program, we will be able to prepare a budget that hopefully can be supported by foundational grants and other outreach efforts, because this is a priority health issue in the state of California. There are funding sources that have already identified that we would like to go after, and tell them about our program to see if they could help fund some of it or all of it. But we're too premature to put the specific budget numbers yet. Right now, to get everything moving, we believe that the stakeholders that are in place have no financial commitment. What we would really like is a pledge, and that is a non-financial commitment pledge that says, we're behind this, we're going to make this happen, you have our commitment and our enthusiasm and our support, and let's all get together and do it. So today we would ask that there's a pledge that we've created that will be signed by the superintendent of ABC Unified, as well as our city officials here, as well as the chief of staff and CEO of the hospital, that says, let's together make a difference. And you have our commitment on that.
I have another question. Is this only going to pertain to our schools in Hawaiian Gardens?
As it is designed now, yes. Although ABC Unified clearly has other outreach efforts, but we're really talking about this community.
Thank you.
If I may just add, I'm David Herskovitz. I'm a member of the Board of Directors of Tri-City Regional Medical Center. I'm here with Cliff Shipe, our CEO, as well, to lend our support and our commitment to move forward collaboratively with the city. To follow up on a couple of the questions, as Jay mentioned, we have spoken. While we're not prepared to present budgetary issues yet because it's premature, we have met with some major corporations who are involved in healthcare and obesity areas in particular that the hospital has relationships with. As you can understand, it's a bureaucratic process, but we've gotten their attention, and we are gradually moving up the ladder with some of those entities, and we hope that we will be able to continue that process. There are grant dollars out there that we collaboratively, together with the city and ABC School District, can pursue, and we intend to continue in that process. So while we're not prepared to give specifics today, we're very much involved in that. Also follow up on one of your questions in terms of what can we do with kindergarten children. As they've said, it's also focused on the family. It's not just education, it's also enhancing resources. So we're very, very pleased that Sam's Club is represented, and part of what we want to do is collaborate with markets, with people like Sam's Club, and have a separate area designated as Activate Hawaiian Gardens, where we'll be able to help select food items. So if somebody has to run in and run out real quickly and try to determine what's healthy for my children that is cost effective for me, we will have done a lot of the thought process for them. Together with the city and the school, we'll be able to do cooking classes so we can help take chefs from the area and just help people understand what's important and how we can help them simplify this process. So I thank you for your time and your indulgence, and look forward to continuing this process with the city.
You have my full support. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think that's it. Thank you so much. Okay, now we'll move on to oral communications. Items. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, that's right. Oh, okay. Good. Thanks for reminding me. We're going to go back to the presentations. Eddie de la Huerta is here. Come on up. I'll get the plaque.
Thank you for having us. Sorry if you were a little unprepared. We were working out. You'll be right up.
Okay, as we tried to introduce you before, I didn't realize you weren't here. Once again, we have a gentleman, and I'll let Manuel Nava, the boxing coach, expand on what he just recently accomplished. But again, as I said before, we have a world champion that's come out of our program, and I know that Manuel puts hard work into developing these boys, and he looks more like a man. Their minds as well as their bodies, and we want to congratulate Eddie for winning his division at the Golden Gloves tournament.
Well, first of all, I want to thank the city council, of course. Whoa, this is big, you know. This, you know, I know. Yeah, it was a tough tournament. I was the only 16-year-old in the tournament, actually. It was a 17 to 34 tournament, and I was fighting men out there. And you know, since when I got there, when I knew I was gonna participate in that tournament, I knew I was gonna be pretty much the youngest one, and I wasn't gonna let age determine me losing. So I knew, like, I fought hard, I trained hard, especially preparing for it, and well, it paid off. And this actually, you know, it's nothing, you know, like, oh, of course. You know, to me, this actually feels like a world championship, you know. But I want to thank you all personally. Thank you, and I really appreciate it. I'll continue.
I got to bring it back down now. I just want to say a couple words about Eddie. Eddie's been in the program for a little bit over a year, possibly a year and a half. He came to the program, and I'm going to say a quick story on him. He came to me and he said, I want to be part of the boxing program, but I do not want to box. His biggest accomplishment, he lost 45 pounds in a little bit over a year. So after he lost the 45 pounds, he comes to me and he says, Coach, can I get in the ring? And I said, no. He said, why not? I go, you specifically told me you did not want to get in the ring. You just came to do to lose a little bit of weight and a little confidence. So anyways, you got that. And the next thing you know, a year and a half later, were we 11-2? 11-2 record. And like you said, the Golden Gloves is the participants are from 17 on to 32 years of age. But being that his age determining date would have been 17 before, so he got to participate, and he had 3 fights. His first competition at 132 with men that were under 10 fights. First guy he competed, I think, was 19. The second one was like 21, and the third one was like 23. So anyways, he could win all his competitions, and you know, he's continuing to work hard, and he's just another good example and of another hardworking kid that if you put the time and effort, you know, things get accomplished around here. Like I said, with Steve, Mr. Jesus Mendoza, and the council, thank you very much. And we're just going to continue to try to do our thing, and we appreciate you.
Okay. Now we'll move on to order of communications, items on and not on the agenda. This time is reserved for members of the public wishing to speak on items on and not on the agenda, except for public hearing items. This period will be limited to 3 minutes per speaker. Maximum time allocated is 15 minutes. Upon conclusion of oral occasions, the City Council or City staff, at the direction of the Mayor, may respond to any questions or statements that were presented by members of the public. The City Council is prohibited by law from discussing or taking any action on items presented during oral communications that are not on the agenda. So if anybody wishes to speak, would you please come forward, state your name and address for the record.
Good evening. My name is Karen Kavanaugh from the Hawaiian Gardens Library, and I'm just here to announce the upcoming programs that we have at the library in May. On Wednesday, May 2nd, from 6:30 to 7:30 p.m., the library will be celebrating Dia de los Niños, Dia de los Libros at the library with a bilingual story time in English and Spanish, a fun art activity, and a free book for every child who attends. On Thursday, May 3rd, from 4 to 5:30 p.m., there'll be a teen program, and this is T-shirt making, where the teens will actually get to come and learn how to silkscreen their own T-shirts, which they will get to keep. All materials, including the T-shirts, will be provided for free, and this is for students in 7th through 12th grade. On Saturday, May 19th, from 2 to 3:30 p.m., we'll have a program called Fuse Bead Creations, where you'll be able to make a magnet, a keychain, or a pen out of colorful fuse beads. And again, all materials will be provided, and this is for ages 7 and up. On Thursday, May 24th, from 4 to 5:30 p.m., there'll be a teen program, Paper Art. Teens will design their own artwork using paper marbling, collage, and origami techniques, and this is for students in 6th through 12th grade. And then finally, on Saturday, May 26th, from 2 to 3 p.m., we'll have Annie Banani's Balloon Show. Join Annie Banani at the library for a hilarious, fun-filled balloon twisting show. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Valerie Mason, 11950 Centralia Road in the beautiful city of Hawaiian Gardens. Good evening, Mayor Gomez and council members. I stand before you this evening in support of the censorship and to express concern and disdain for Councilman Barry Bruce. I have not had a lot of interaction with him, my choice, of course. My initial conversation with Barry Bruce was outside of these chambers right before he became councilman. At that time, he was the leader of a single interest group called RAGE. The name of the group should have told us something. I was trying to commiserate with him after he publicly berated me during oral communications after I thanked the Sheriff's Department for their work in my community. He said, "I don't know where you are from, but you need to wake up and look around." After witnessing his outburst about the topic of gang injunction, I approached him personally to receive the wake-up call he said I needed and asked if we could talk. Well, of course, he spoke very loud and passionately about his cause. I chose not to infuriate him any more than he already was with my questions. So I thought I would respond to him on a level he would be comfortable with. I said, if it is what you say it is, God will reveal for everyone to see. We must pray about it. Pastor Bruce at the time arrogantly replied, "Don't come at me with that pulpit rhetoric." It was at that point I knew reasoning with him was useless because faith that cannot be tested cannot be trusted. The next time I came up against him was in September of 2010 when he publicly accused me of housing discrimination, and he was in the capacity of a councilman at that time. The city council, the council, and the city attorney said there was nothing they can do about what he had said. However, someone had suggested I should sue him individually for slander. However, my love for my home and city outweighed my disrespect and contempt for Councilman Bruce. I continued to attend council meetings and watch him call residents of this city names and was very disrespectful toward them when they didn't side with him. Enough was enough, and I decided my time was better spent with my family than watching him make a spectacle of himself and the city, council meeting after council meeting. My next encounter with him came October 2011 when he tried to bully his way on private property that is under my care. Again, he acted like
You
he was
have
above
20
the law.
seconds. Okay.
All right. I was in another city function, and when the other guests heard I was from Hawaiian Gardens, I was approached by several of them wanting to know who was that tall man and why are we letting him act like that. I inquired which tall man. They said the man with the part in the middle of his head. Enough is enough. Something needs to be done to make all council members accountable for their actions. Enough is enough. Everyone is entitled to speak their mind and not be called ignorant, stupid, or yelled at by Councilman Bruce. Enough is enough.
All right, thank you. Okay. Seeing no one? Nope.
Joe Colombo, Vice President, Management Chapter, Shop Stewart. I'm here today to address the comments that were made at the last council meeting by Councilmember Ronaldo and Councilmember Barry Bruce. You know, it's easy to sit up there and make comments about other people, make people believe your side of the story, but here's the problem. You have no facts, your statements are unsubstantiated, you have no proof, you constantly abuse staff of wrongdoing, but you have no factual data to support your claim. All you have is one-sided stories. You both constantly have accused staff of corruption. Where's the data and facts? You had plenty of time to prove your case, but you come up empty-handed every single time. Why is that? That's because the accusations are false. So why do you accuse staff of wrongdoing? Why not go to the DA's office, go to the Public Integrity's unit, and file a complaint? Wouldn't that just be easier to do that? Or is it that you're just trying to grandstand? Or is it for your own political gain so that it makes you look good for when you run for council? What have you done to prove yourself all these years that you've been sitting on the council accusing staff of all this wrongdoing when you've come up with nothing and all you've done has been bashing staff? And then you ask us, why are we involved in politics? It's very simple. We're not involved in politics. We're defending ourselves from wrongful accusations from council members, something that we've never had to do in the past. These comments you make are misleading the community, and you're doing this intentionally for your own political interest, or you're just misinformed. Now let's look at the comments you made at the last council meeting. Ronaldo said, page 3 of 13 of the minutes that you're going to be approving tonight, he continued that nobody is perfect and that staff is not perfect and that you know what staff had been doing for years and that is why he's on the council. Come on, Mr. Ronaldo. You know all those complaints were frivolous. Nothing came out of those complaints. They were investigated by Ernesto Marquez. It was all a show. If there was one case that was true, we know which one that is, and I won't make comments on that to embarrass anybody up there because that case is still open. Barry said on page 414, we should watch ourselves on how we involve ourselves in politics. The union's already in trouble. One person down, Barry, is not going to put the union in trouble. And again, I think I've stated my reasons why we're involved. We're not going to just sit here and take these allegations of misconduct when you have no proof of anything. You're just making statements up there with nothing to
20 seconds.
substantiate that. Barry said we're supposed to work for the people. You're right about that. And we do that gladly, and we're happy to do that. But where does it say in our job description that we will be humiliated in public? Where does it say that we will be abused? Where does it say that we'll be subject to wrongful accusations? Where does it say in our job description that you will use our departments for political platform for your own political gain? Where does it say that? The problem is you guys don't like to follow your rules of decorum and norms and procedures, which is something that we had put in place as a result of a previous agreements. And it was put in place because of...
Okay, I'm sorry.
That's
Time's
fine.
up. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Anybody else? Seeing no one, we'll we'll close the public comments at this time. And ask if anybody wants to make any comments of things that were said.
Mr. Colombo, you stated that, what have I done for the community since I got up here as a city council member? We had made many changes, Mr. Colombo, and a lot of them were made for your department. One of them was when you came up with the program, the beautification program, the first ones in line before even the community knew, they were in line the next day to put an application for the $10,000 community program. That's why you have 10 city employees who got the $10,000. You have one city employee who was making $109,000 a year, and the employee was granted $10,000 for windows, lawn, and driveways. This beautification program was supposed to have been implemented to help the low-income people in the community, and that was not what was going on, and you know that. And that's one of the reasons that I became a city council member, is because of the abuse of the code enforcement, going around telling everybody you cannot have canopies, you can't have certain plants in your front yard, you can't have any type of furniture in your front yard unless it's store-bought patio furniture. Now, you cannot deny that because you did it. You were the one implementing this. You were telling your code enforcement officers to go out over there and implement those codes. I can go around the city and I can show some of the. If you want me to, I can have a view here and show you some of the approved projects that you have done, and they were completely out of code. I brought up many issues. For instance, the library, where it was supposed to cost $4 million, that ended up costing $12 million, or between 10 and 12. There's so many issues there that we have changed. We have changed the general plan, where anybody in a commercial zone can still live as a regular member of the community without having their right to borrow money on the property, their right to expand the property, to make additions to the property. Prior to us, you did not have that. There's a lot of issues that I can bring out too, and the DA, you know what? You're right. I will get in touch with the DA, and this time I'm going to make sure that I have all the right information. And this is some of the items that you have done. You claim to be the best employee here in this community. I'm not going to state how much money the city spends on salaries right now, but I will later on. What the taxpayers pay some of these members of this community, some of the staff members of this organization, this government, and I'm pretty sure you'll be embarrassed. I will make some more comments, and I'm going to keep on making comments. In fact, when we come up to the portion on the censure for for Council Member Bruce, I will make some more comments, the same comments I've been making, and I will continue on. And I'm not going to let you, who have for years controlled the city council, you and the union members control the city council. You have always gotten your way, and you can't stand to see two members of the city council go up against you or question the decisions you make on RFPs, bids, all the money millions of dollars that you spent on consultants for services that doesn't equal to what we paid them. So, Mr. Colombo, I don't understand. I don't think you can afford, or you just seem to want to control us, but you're not going to control us. At least me and myself and Barry here, Council Member Bruce, I'm not speaking for him, I'm just speaking for myself, really. So I'm not going to make any comments about him. But me, you're not going to be able to control, and you know that. And I'm going to continue fighting. If I have to fight with you all this time, we're going to continue on. And I will expose as much as I can. And like I said, when it comes to item D4, I will make some more comments on the comments that you just made right there. Thank you.
Did you want to say something, Michi? I didn't want to take your turn if you were going to speak.
No.
Oh. I wanted to address both Mr. Colombo and Valerie Mason. First of all, Valerie, back in the day where you came up to talk to me, you did not want to talk any more than you want to listen now. And it's doesn't matter how pretty and polished and religious you make it. When someone doesn't want to talk, it's obvious. When someone doesn't want to listen, it's obvious. You were not interested in listening to the plight of the people. You already had preconceived ideas about those people that I was defending, as did many people in this city, as did law enforcement, as did a lot of the people in the community. You say that, what have I accomplished? Well, what I have accomplished, Mr. Colombo, the Sheriff's Department isn't too happy to speak out loud or publicize it in the papers. But pretty much the gang injunction policy was changed for all of LA County because of what happened here. And I think that's a pretty darn big accomplishment. Now, you may not like that accomplishment. Certain members of law enforcement may not like that accomplishment. But I think civil rights advocates throughout the United States of America applaud that accomplishment. And I am a civil rights activist. And I'm passionate about it. And yeah, in the past, especially in the past, and you guys seem to be dwelling quite a bit on the past, I was fresh and I was new to the city council. I had never even been to a dais and spoken for 3 minutes before. I've never done that. I came here impassioned because of what was happening in our community and how people were being ravaged. And that's exactly what I call it now, and that's what I called it then. Back then, I frowned a lot when I said it. Back then, I was very upset, and I spoke very impassioned. And my expressions and my anger towards the treatment of people in the city that I love, I was very passionate about. And it came off on camera probably, and to a lot of people, as being just, he's a mean guy. He can't be a pastor. He's mad. Well, I guess those of you Christians out there that believe that someone can't express anger and be a Christian at the same time would have a hard time with Christ driving out the money changers from the temple. Look, I'm a human being, and I was very impassioned about a particular subject and very impassioned about people that were getting beat up. And I still am. A lot of that has gotten a lot better since then, and I have worked more closely with law enforcement than anybody who sits on this council now, and probably more than anybody who's ever sat on this council. And all the brass know who I am, and they know who my wife is, and they don't have the disrespect that my own development director has for me, or his wife, the city clerk. Okay? So, yeah, I'm impassioned. And I don't appreciate the treatment that I've gotten from constituents of these people who will say anything for them, whether they know the facts or not, just because they're their friends or whatever. And it annoys me. Politics has always annoyed me when people use it for their own selfish gain. And I see a lot of that here in Hawaiian Gardens, and have for many years, my 30 years of living here. I've seen politics control this city and direct this city. And I don't like it. In the almost now 3 years that I've been on city council, I think I've grown a lot. I think I've calmed down a lot. I think I still speak the truth, and I think I'm still impassioned. And sometimes, I guess, even a little bit rude. But I am not the one who is ranting like I did when I first came here. I've learned to bite my tongue a lot and to hold back the way I feel. But I want people to know that elected me, I still feel exactly the same. I love the people here in this city, and I care about this city, and I care about the civil rights, their civil rights, and even your civil rights, Mr. Colombo. So, whatever happens tonight, I mean, I guess I know exactly what's going to happen tonight. I'm going to be publicly slapped. That's fine. Because God knows I've publicly slapped everybody here at least once or twice. So those that dish it out should be able to take it. I don't mind taking a public censure, but I will not be publicly censored.
Mayor, may I speak up, please?
Okay.
I have been on council going on 12 years. And I have sat up here, and we have not, other council members, we have not agreed on things. But I have never been up here called a monkey or a baboon and being disrespected, okay? And our staff are hard workers, and they do for the city. And unfortunately, yes, some of them have gotten on the beautification program, but they are residents of our city also. Thank you.
Victor, a comment? I just want to just address a few statements that were made because I think they should be noted. As far as salaries, the employee contracts have been approved by whoever was sitting at the council at the time. So they were approved by the city council, and they apparently felt they were worthy of whatever their salaries are. And so I don't think you could. It's not good to try to say that the employees are taking money. They're not worth what they're being paid because apparently somebody thought they were worth that money. That's why these contracts were approved. As far as the beautification program, it was not set up for low-income people. We had that was the CDBG program, and at the time, it was a resident came up and said, "You guys have this program for low-income people, and I don't qualify for it, but I'm not rich. Can't you help us out?" And that's how that program was devised. So when it was devised, there was no income limits. It was for all, as Councilmember Candace said, all city residents. And I think we just need to say one thing about the library construction costs, because that comes up again and again. I just want to make sure people realize that the total cost of the library was more than anticipated, not because of construction costs. The construction was under budget. It just cost more to acquire the property. So that's why the more money had to be spent. But it was not had to do with any of the construction of the project. So with that, we'll go ahead and move on to our Public Housing Authority meeting. Item B, consent calendar. Items listed on the consent calendar are considered routine and will be acted by one motion and one vote. There will be no separate discussion of these items. If discussion is desired, that item may be removed from the consent calendar and will be considered separately. Does anybody wish to remove any of these items from the consent calendar?
I don't know if this is part of the consent calendar, but I just have a question. I don't know if it's appropriate at this time or on the staff report. How many applicants do we have now for the Section 8 or the HUD program?
There's, I believe there's over 500 on the waiting list.
500 on the waiting list.
Correct.
So that's a pretty long waiting list. I had people ask me about it, and I said, well, I don't think, it's going to take probably 5 or 10 years before you can get through all the applicants. So in reality, any new applicants now are really going to have to wait a long, long time. Okay, thank you.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion on the consent calendar.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve in its entirety.
I second it.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Item C, no discussion items. D, closed session, none. Oral staff reports, none. Oral board reports, none. Okay, with that, we'll adjourn the Public Housing Authority meeting to the next regularly scheduled meeting to be held on Tuesday, May 22nd at 6 p.m. And now we'll move to the City Council meeting. Yeah. Keep.
Sign it?
No, nobody signed it. It's for information. Okay. Okay. Switching chairs. I guess let's go to agenda organization. This is time for city council members to discuss any changes in the order of the agenda items. And I'd like to move items D1 and D3 up to the front, since these involve the schools and the principals, our representatives are here.
I'll second that.
Okay. Okay, so we'll go to item D1. Consideration of a request from Fedi Academy for a monetary donation for a trip to Washington, D.C. Staff report.
Honorable Mayor and Council, 24 Hawaiian Garden students attending Fedi Academy and 4 chaperones have the opportunity to visit Washington, D.C. for an educational guided tour. Fedi Academy and the PTSA have worked together to have fundraisers to offset the cost of the trip. At this time, $14,572.61 has been paid to World Strides Educational Tour Group, and the total amount due is $49,834. The students raised $404,446.11 of that money through their fundraisers. At this time, $35,000 is still due. This trip will take place from June 25th to June 29th, 2012, and the trip must be completely paid for by April of 2012. Fedi Academy is requesting a donation of $20,000. The city administrator recommends a $5,000 donation.
Okay, before we go into discussion, is the representative from Fedi here today? I know there was somebody here earlier. Now it's up to this council. I guess the discussion should be whether we go ahead and move on this item, or since there is no representation, although there was somebody here earlier, and I don't know why she left.
But
There
I
is
guess
a
the next
section
meeting
in-
is going to
yeah.
be past the date they were supposed to
Yeah,
have.
there was a.
I just like to make a couple of comments on that. Is that, you know, this kids, this is very important for the kids. I know that we cannot donate $20,000, but we should be able to donate just a little bit over, at least a couple more after 5. I myself, when I was in the 6th grade at Killingsworth, which is now Fedi Academy, we took a summer camp trip up to La Cañada, I think it was. And I couldn't afford to pay for the.
Use your mic on.
I couldn't afford to pay for the trips, but so I got help from Killingsworth, and I guess the ABC School District, and this was my first trip out of Hawaiian Gardens, which was very exciting for me. Being out on the mountains out there, camp, you know, and we stayed in log cabins, which was pretty nice. And I remember when I got the list of what we're supposed to take to camp, and 90% of the items there I didn't have. We had to go to. My mom took me to the secondhand store on Norwalk Boulevard, and the building is still there. And I bought some pajamas, some hiking boots. They were not hiking boots in those days, but just boots and stuff that we never had. I mean, I didn't even think about it, and so it was a learning experience for me. And it's still imprinted in my mind after 60 years. I can still remember almost those days in detail. So these kids at this age, when they go on these trips like that, they will never forget them as long as they live. So I know they're falling into hardship, but you know, we could at least give them $7,000 or something like that. I mean, we can cut some funds from other programs like the golf tournament, and so anyway, I'm suggesting that we give them just a little bit over $5,000 if it helps them, which I'm pretty sure they will. Maybe hopefully they can get the rest through other funds. Thank you.
Mayor, if I may.
Go ahead.
Mayor and council members, my recommendation is simply based on your council policy to donate the $5,000 per school per year. You obviously can change that amount. David and I can worry about the funding source later, but you're at liberty to donate the amount that you wish.
I'm in favor of that. You know, any opportunity that you give to our youth in regards to allowing them to go beyond the boundaries of the city and to explore somewhere else, I'm definitely in favor of it. It just opens up, you know, someone's perspective on life, and traveling's great, and obviously this will be a very educational experience for those youth. So if we could do the 7,000, I'm definitely in favor of that as well. So I would second that motion.
I agree with Councilmember Rodriguez. A couple of $1,000 more is not going to break the bank.
I'm not worried about breaking the bank. It's just that they need $20,000, not $7,000, not $5,000. They need $20,000, and it needs to come in before when?
April.
So where is the rest of the money going to come from anyway? So, you know, I definitely am in favor of an educational trip. We've taken our students to Washington, D.C. many different times on a far less expensive budget than this trip is suggesting. So that is one concern that I have. To me, it's pretty high for the number of kids that are going. Secondly, all the money's not there anyway. So I think $5,000 is reasonable simply because we need to consider all the other schools that ask for money, like the science camp tonight. And Washington, D.C. is a much grander trip than a science camp or something like that. I mean, they're all wonderful, they're all great, but sometimes sights are set a little bit too high. And it looks to me like that might have been what happened here. So, I'll go along with council on, $5,000. I'll even go up to $7,000, but I think we need to make it contingent upon whether or not the rest of the money even comes in. And if it doesn't come in, then we need to regain that money so that we can spend it somewhere else and not just, let them put it in a kitty for next year or 2 years down the road or whatever. I don't know what happens to that money. So that's the only thing that I'd want to add to that motion, is that it's contingent upon them going on the trip in the first place or making the payment.
All right, let me clarify some of what Sue included in the staff report here, which was drafted, Sue, 3 weeks ago, approximately? Yes, so this information we have is 3 weeks old. But at that point, they had raised approximately $15,000 for the trip, and they needed to raise, in order to take all the students they're planning on attending, close to $50,000. So as of 3 weeks ago, they still needed to fundraise about $35,000.
It seems unrealistic to have by April.
By the end.
Yeah, unfortunately, we did request for someone from the school to be here, and I'm not sure why they weren't. And it is the second time.
Okay, I guess I'll weigh in since everybody else is. I do believe that we do need to be aware that we do have this $5,000 grant program and do our best to make sure that's what it is. Obviously, emergencies come up. We've in the past have helped some of the youth programs when they've won trips to things like that, and I think we can make make allowances for that. So the couple of $1,000s isn't so bad, and I think we can kind of put it into that mode of operation that we're trying to just help them out a little bit. We understand it is somewhat of an emergency. I don't know where, even if we gave them the $20,000, I don't know where they get the other 15. But I agree with we'll help as much as we can, and perhaps we can help them in some other way. I don't know what, but maybe we can give make a connection with someone who might have the money and ask them if they can ante up a little. See how that helps.
Yeah.
Okay. So at this point, Mr. Rodriguez made a motion to give him $700, and then $7,000. Mr. Bruce asked that you put a contingency. I think Mr. Rodriguez has to say if he wants to add that to his motion or not. Correct. So I think we're asking Mr. Rodriguez, do you want to amend your motion to put the contingency? Mr. Bruce, were you saying the extra $2,000? Because we normally give them $5,000 anyway. They keep the $5,000, but the extra $2,000 comes back if they do not take the trip? Or are you thinking the whole $7,000?
Well, I think they should. They're asking for this particular trip. They haven't asked for anything else. So I think it would be the whole amount of money. And then if they want to come back and ask later on for $5,000 for something else, then I'm sure this council is going to give it to them. We're all for education. We're all for helping out. It's just that this one appears to be beyond reach at this point, and I don't feel that we should put in all that money so that they can go on something like this. I don't think we have that money available to do that with. I think we should consider all the other requests that we get. When we plan something out as a staff, we need to make sure that it appears that we're going to be able to reach the goal. We don't just make some arbitrary, far-reaching thing and then hope that someone's just going to pay for it all. That's what it appears has happened here to me.
Okay, that goes back to Mr. Rodriguez. Do you want to amend your motion or not?
Well, if they cannot accumulate the rest of the money for the trip and they cancel the trip, I guess it would be wise to not to give them that money at this time unless they come up with some other project or some other trip is going to cost less, and they need the $5,000 or $7,000. Then we can come back and approve it. But the contingency would be that if they're not able to go on the trip or they have to cancel, then we should hold on to the money until other projects are approached to us.
So I'll second that motion.
Okay. You have it down, the motion? Okay. No second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Item D3, consideration of a request from Hawaiian Elementary School for a monetary donation for the 6th grade science camp.
Honorable Mayor and Council, every year Hawaiian Elementary does go to an outdoor science camp. This year they're requesting funds for the 4-day trip for the 6th graders. The cost provides wonderful opportunities for students to learn and to grow. But however, the cost of the trip prevents many students from participating. Hawaiian Elementary students did fundraising activities throughout the year, and this year $1,396 was raised by the fundraisers. The school has a camp fund of $10,950. The cost of each student to attend camp will be $220 each. There are 62 6th grade students and 61 live in Hawaiian Gardens. In the past, the City Council has donated $5,000 to the 6th grade camp.
I make a motion to approve.
I second it.
Okay, have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
I know working at Melbourne that when the 6th graders went to camp, some of them were very excited because they had never been camping in their life. So I've always been in favor of the 6th grade camp for our schools.
Okay.
I'll comment again on when I went to summer school in the 6th grade, and that was it is very exciting for these kids who've never been out camping, who've never been away from home. And when you're out there as a young kid out there without your parents out there in the mountains or wherever the little field trips you take, it's very exciting. And yes, I think this is a very good idea, a good deal. I mean, and I'm for it.
Okay. If nothing else, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries, and we'll see you at the next meeting. Thank you. We didn't ask her to speak, but okay, well. Okay.
Have fun at camp.
Okay, moving on to item A, public hearings, there are none. Item B, ordinances. B1, conduct second reading and adopt ordinance number 541 to amend Chapter 9.66 of Title 9 of the Hawaiian Gardens Municipal Code regulating massage parlors. Staff report.
This is actually a second reading of the ordinance that was discussed and introduced at your last meeting. So if you want more detail, I'd be happy to give it to you. If not, recommendation is to read by title only and adopt the ordinance.
I say that we accept and adopt the ordinance.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And you note that Councilmember Parkman stepped out. Okay.
So you're going to read the title?
Oh, she got to read it. That's right.
The ordinance of the City Council of the City of Hawaiian Gardens amending Chapter 9.66 of Title 9 of the Hawaiian Gardens Municipal Code regulating massage parlors.
Okay, item C, consent calendar. Items listed on the consent calendar are considered routine and will be enacted by one motion and one vote. There will be no separate discussion of these items. If discussion is desired, that item may be removed from the consent calendar and will be considered separately. Anybody wishing to remove any items from the consent calendar?
Yes, C1 and C7. And I guess D4 is a discussion item anyway, right? Yeah.
C2.
Okay, I have C1, C2, C4, and C7. Oh, I thought you said C4.
Or it's D4, but D4 is...
D4, oh, okay.
D4
right.
is a discussion
Yeah,
item
that's
anyway,
a discussion
right?
item. Okay, that's, okay. So C1, C2, C7. Okay, I'll entertain a motion to approve the rest.
I make a motion to approve the rest of the
Second.
consent calendar.
Okay. I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Item C1, adopt resolution number 033-2012 to approve pre-issued warrants and regular warrants in the amount of $373,039.86.
On page 32, at the 7th or 8th line from the top, there's a warrant there for $13,067 for the office of Linda Dalby for legal services for the I guess it's from January the 13th to February the 24th. Is this the last
That
service?
should be the last of her billing.
And this
Yeah.
is for 2011 then?
For the, right. I believe it was January and February. David, do you recall the months?
This is her final bill.
Thank you.
I believe we just received all the files and several boxes, so I'm not sure if we're going to get billed for some of that, but I assume there's some clerical billing related to that too.
All right.
But it should be minor.
And I'd like to just express that I'm abstaining from this based on the fact that there are already pre-issued warrants.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Canada?
Yes.
Councilmember Rodriguez?
Abstain.
Councilmember Bruce?
Abstain.
Mayor Pro Tem Farfan?
Yes.
Mayor Gomez?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay. Item C2, presentation of minutes of the April 10th, 2012 regular meeting.
Just regarding the minutes on page 54, or page 5 of 13, R54, the minutes 5 of 13. I know these are quasi-verbatim minutes. However, I feel that there are some omissions here that should not be excluded. Second paragraph on page 54 says, what Mayor Gomez stated, after Mayor Gomez directed the city attorney to prepare a resolution for the next agenda to censure Councilmember Bruce, the mayor did not use the word censure as spelt here. He said censor. I then made a correction to the mayor saying that he could not censor me. The word is censure. And then our attorney responded and explained the difference between censor and censure, and I think that's very important to have in the minutes, and I think it's important that it be included. So I would approve the minutes except for that part that should be corrected.
Yes, I mispronounced the word.
Okay.
You know
Yes,
what I meant. I
yes,
mean, just
and,
like Mr. Rodriguez once said, deficit. We knew he meant
Yes.
deficit. He just mispronounced it. It's no big deal.
Well, and also because Councilman Bruce did call me on this, I went and listened to the minutes, and you cannot hear you talking. You can hear something in the background, but I could not hear what was said. And what I left out, the one sentence I left out when city attorney said, for clarification purpose, you can't censor, but you can censure as a city council, and then the rest of it in here, police themselves, and that the terms said. These are not really quasi-verbatims. I'm trying to go back to summaries. I'm doing them in a longer summary, but I am attempting to do them in summaries. But it is the pleasure of the council. I can absolutely put that in there if you request it in there.
Well, the reason that I think it should be in there is whether he said it incorrectly or not, I don't really know, because the two things are so closely related, in my opinion. Okay? So I appreciated the fact that Omar Sandoval corrected him and explained that, but that's not even in here either. It doesn't say anything. Omar doesn't say anything here about him defining the difference between censor and censure.
As I stated, what was said on the tape from the city attorney was for clarification purposes. You can't censor, but you can censure as the city council police
Oh, so you
themselves.
fixed that? Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm saying this is the one sentence that was left out. If you wish me to put it in, I'll gladly put it in. It's up to the pleasure of the council.
Yeah, I think that should be in there.
Not a problem. Okay, is there a motion to approve?
I make a motion to approve with the correction indicated.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion carries. Item C7, Finance Department Monthly Treasury Report for March 2012. Who?
Mr. Rodriguez.
Do you have to
Yes,
put
on page 85, under cash transactions, report, I see lots of negative numbers at the ending balance line. Can if somebody explain to me what does that mean?
David, it's the ending balance column.
Yes. In those accounts, they do not receive enough revenues to cover the deficits, and we have a transfer in the budget. So by the end of the year, we will transfer the money from general fund to those funds to cover the deficits. Throughout the year, before the end of the year, we usually do not transfer the funds into those, but we only do it by the end of the year.
I noticed that most of the negative numbers are under cash payroll account, B of A. For instance, the first one, on the general fund, let's see, the first one, first cash payroll account, B of A, we're in the negative of $107,000, and then it goes on to 10,000, 7, 3,000, 8,000, 11,000, and 1,000. So we are minus that balance at this time, but like you said, at the end of the budget year, you take money from the general fund and put it in there to cover these negative numbers?
Yes, and for those payroll accounts, we also do the transfer on a monthly basis.
Now, is this also part of the funds from the redevelopment agency that we do not get anymore? Does this make an impact on these numbers?
The payroll account is different from the Fund 11 you are talking about.
I noticed in the community development block grants, it's minus 130,000. Is this the money that we're going to get as we apply for it?
As we apply for reimbursement.
Apply for reimbursement?
We do apply for reimbursement. We spend the money first. So when the money is first spent, it's a deficit amount, and we receive the reimbursement that will replenish the deficits. For example, like the CDBG funds, we will transfer from the general fund for about $190,000 by the end of the year.
I'll probably have a little meeting with you later on this week. Maybe we can go through this again and get a better explanation.
Sure.
All right.
Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, then I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Item D2, consideration of mayor's appointment of an alternate director to the Los Angeles County Sanitation District Number 19.
Honorable Mayor and Council, at the December 13, 2011 meeting, Mayor Gomez, with the consent of the City Council, appointed members of the City Council to the various government agencies and city committees. At that time, an alternate director was not appointed to the Los Angeles County Sanitation District Number 19, pending a ruling from the Fair Political Practice Commission regarding the stipend that the director receives. The City Clerk's Office has received 4 requests from the Sanitation District that an alternate director be appointed as soon as possible. There's no fiscal impact directly related to this item. And so our recommendation is to appoint an alternate director to the Los Angeles County Sanitation District Number 19.
Mayor, members of the City Council, if I may, if you recall back in December, the FPPC had a regulation that prohibited council members from voting on appointments of themselves to boards and commissions that had separate stipend. Their opinion at that time was that it affects their personal finances. It increases or might decrease their personal finances, and therefore there was a conflict of interest because it had a financial effect on their personal finances. Since then, they have revised their regulations, and in fact, the new regulation took effect March 15, and the new regulation provides that notwithstanding the regulation that initially prohibited this participation, a public official may participate in making or use the official position to influence or attempt to influence a governmental decision where all of the following conditions are satisfied. Number 1, the decision is on his or her appointment to as an officer of the body of which he or she is a member. For example, appointing themselves to be mayors or deputy mayors, or to a committee, to a board or a commission of a public agency, a special district, or a joint powers authority. Number 2, the appointment is one required to be made by the body of which the official is a member pursuant to either state law, local law, or joint powers agreement. And lastly, the body making the appointment adopts and posts on its website, on a form provided by the Commission, a list that sets forth each appointed position for which compensation is paid, the salary or stipend for each appointed position, and the name of the public official that has been appointed. The FPPC has promulgated a form. I don't think it's final, but the regulation is. So today, I checked the law, and Health and Safety Code 4730 does require the City Council to appoint an alternate to the Sanitation District. The mayor is automatically a member of the Sanitation District Board, but the law does require the council to appoint an alternate. The alternate will get the stipend. Whoever shows up to a sanitation board meeting gets a stipend for attending the meeting. But in December, the person that would have been nominated for the appointment had to leave the room and not participate. Today, you can participate if you wish to do so. We'll just have to post it on the website and fill out this form and post it on the website. So you have two choices. You can make the appointment. The nominated person can actually participate and vote on the decision, and then we'll comply with the regulation and post it on the city's website. Or the person can actually abstain and recuse themselves, leave the dais, and not participate, and then we don't have to post the information on the website. So it's really up to the city council how you wish to handle this matter.
Okay. I don't think I've ever missed one of these meetings. I don't intend to. So I guess the question my first consideration was to appoint Mayor Pro Tem Farfan. Now, given what you said, I don't know if he wants to accept it, but that was my thought. And it's a once-a-month meeting that, as you said, all the mayors are appointed to, and the mayors attend in the city of Whittier. And I don't know that I've missed one in the last year, so I don't know that would be an issue. But I guess we need to have somebody available in case.
Yeah, I'll accept. I do have, my understanding is that, for the last 3 years, you've been able to make all those meetings, so that hasn't been an issue. I'm not overly concerned, about that, and I'll accept, knowing that, obviously, you'll do your best to go to those meetings, and if I need to step in, I need to do, my part, so I accept.
Okay. So do we need to take a vote of the council?
Yes.
Okay. All in favor of having Mr. Farfan being the alternate to the sanitation district, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Okay, I'll move on. No. Okay, item C4. Consideration, I'm sorry, here it is, C4. Consideration of a discussion pertaining to the censuring of Councilmember Barry Bruce for violations of council policy regarding conduct and decorum for council meetings and council norms and procedures. I guess we don't know how to handle this, but since I made the motion to have this put on the agenda, I guess I'll speak, and then we'll let everybody else speak, and then give Mr. Bruce a chance at the end to speak. So let me just say that it is. I do believe that it's necessary that we take some kind of action in this matter. Based on the past behavior of Mr. Bruce, as he admitted earlier. But I want to make it clear that this isn't an action that I take lightly or derive any pleasure in doing. But, we've heard complaints here today, and we've heard them before, about Mr. Bruce's behavior. And I could easily, I guess, make a list, of improper behavior that at the minimum probably crosses the line of civility. As mentioned earlier, Michi mentioned calling, getting mad at the city council and calling us baboons and monkeys. Calling names to residents who've come up here to speak and who've disagreed with them, and he's called them blind or ignorant for not seeing things his way. He described somebody as pathetic, called somebody ungrateful, and called people liars for things they've said. We've also had in the past 2 grievances filed against him by employees, and a lawsuit against the city and him, accusing us of being in violation of some kind of employee protection rights. You know, as to the allegations of misconduct outside this chamber, we most probably lack the evidence and the authority to address them at this time, so I won't go there. But there are remedies available to the injured parties, which may run the gamut from legal actions or making your objections known with your votes at the polls. But that being said, it must be noted that serving on this council is a privilege that comes with the responsibility of being liable for your actions. And though we as a city council are limited in the power to self-police, and we cannot, nor do we not want to try to control individual council members' behavior outside of this chamber, it must be stated that, like it or not, we are role models for the community. And whether we're walking the city halls here in the city or shopping at the grocery store, we are under the watchful eye of the public, and we must conduct ourselves accordingly. And let's be clear, though, as a city council and the mayor, who is the presiding officer, we do have the authority to control how we conduct our meetings. And under our policy, city council policy regarding conduct and decorum for city council meetings, and I'm going to read what it says under there. Rules of decorum for public meetings. Item 1A, under the term general. Meetings of the City Council of Hawaiian Gardens shall be conducted in an orderly manner to ensure that the public has a full opportunity to be heard and that the business of the city is carried out without unnecessary delay or disruption. Meetings of the City Council will be conducted in a professional but open manner. Council members will treat community members and speakers with respect as they expect to be treated as the city's duly elected representatives. The presiding officer of the City Council shall be the mayor, or in his absence, the vice mayor, or in their absence, another member so designated by the council. The presiding officer shall be responsible for maintaining order and decorum of the meetings as set forth under this policy. Under item C2, presiding officer's role. The presiding officer will be responsible for implementing this policy, enforcing respectful treatment of citizens, keeping decorum, and enforcing a businesslike exchange of ideas. Personal attacks in any direction will not be tolerated. The presiding officer will direct all concerns regarding staff or service issues to the city administrator for proper resolution. The City Council shall direct and manage policy, direct and manage policy, and the city administrator shall manage implementation through staff. The mayor of the City of Hawaiian Gardens is a spokesman for the city and shall inform the City Council of any informal correspondence sent out to anyone in relation to city business. The mayor is responsible for communication with all city commission chairs. I want to repeat a couple of highlighted items again. Under general, meetings of the City Council of Hawaiian Gardens shall be conducted in an orderly manner to ensure that the public has a full opportunity to be heard and that the business of the city is carried out without unnecessary delay or disruption. Meetings of the City Council will be conducted in a professional but open manner. Council members will treat community members and speakers with respect as they expect to be treated as a city council, as the city's duly elected representatives. And once again, it will be a short sentence under the presiding officer's role. The presiding officer will be responsible for implementing this policy, enforcing respectful treatment of citizens, keeping decorum, and enforcing a business-like exchange of ideas. Personal attacks in any direction will not be tolerated. I'm sorry. That being said, it is my contention that Mr. Bruce has constantly violated these rules of decorum through his continual overbearing manner and personal attacks. He constantly speaks out of order and refuses to yield the floor when ordered to. His refusal to act in an orderly manner is not only disruptive, but it causes an embarrassment to this council and community as these meetings are broadcast on cable and the internet for all to see. And as reported in the newspapers and on the streets, people are watching and shocked that this behavior has been tolerated for so long. For these reasons, I move that Mr. Bruce be censured for his failure to comply with our City Council approved rules of decorum.
I second that.
And now, under discussion, we'll go ahead and let everybody speak if they want, and we'll give Mr. Bruce the last.
You know, I'd like to say something. When my husband was up as a council member, I came to the meetings and I saw what was going on up there. And the conduct of one of our council members, to see my husband being bullied constantly, I never thought I would be up here and be treated the same way. Councilmember Bruce talks about respect. I was raised to be respectful. In raising your voice and disrespecting others, you need to look at yourself first. That's all I have to say.
We're here to make sure that our community gets the best service without everybody not questioning our procedures, our how the money is spent. And what's been happening in the last councils, nobody ever done anything. Everybody agreed 100%. Nobody asked any questions. You got up here, 10 minutes, the council meeting is over. Well, that's not the case now because of Mr. Councilmember Bruce and myself. Now, on the the last council meeting, dated April the 10th, Mr. Joe Colombo, our Community Development Director and Vice President of our Employers Union, AFSCME, spoke during oral communications. His comments to Mayor Gomez were that he should censure Council Member Bruce because of the lack of respect to the rest of the council members. The only thing that Council Member Bruce is guilty of is that he questions this government over the waste of taxpayers' money spent on consultants and many city projects, past and present. I myself is guilty of these comments. When Mr. Colombo suggested to censure Councilmember Bruce, without any hesitation, Mayor Gomez agreed, and second by Mayor Pro Tem Farfan. So who is running this government? It's not the city council. We all know that the community director and vice president of the union, Mr. Colombo, plus city code enforcement officer and president of our employees union, Fred Lincoln, and certain city staff were responsible for the election of Mayor Gomez and Mayor Pro Tem Farfan by supporting them financially and by walking the neighborhood for their votes. So with the 3 city council members under the union who controls this, it's under the union who controls this government. During the election, I was labeled by the Cerritos Community News as a puppet. Who are the puppets now? Mr. Colombo stated that council member Bruce has no respect towards the team of the 3 council members. Courtesy and respect, as you know, when the 3 council members became a team, courtesy and respect went out the window. First, you bypassed Council Member Betty Schultz for mayorship, and the team nominated Council Member Gomez, and he became mayor with Council Member Farfan as mayor pro tem. Then the 3 of you elected Council Member Farfan for mayor and ex-mayor Gomez for mayor pro tem. Then again, last year, this time Mayor Pro Tem Gomez became mayor again, with ex-mayor Farfan who became mayor pro tem. So all of you can guess who's going to be mayor and who's going to be mayor pro tem this coming year. We know who that is going to be. When it comes to power and greed, there's no courtesy and there's no respect. All of you are so obsessed with being associated with high society, going to seminars sponsored by businesses and consultants who shower you with free fancy dinners, free drinks, and golf, and telling each other what a wonderful job you are doing. And now you are members of this power-hungry group. I can tell you, council members, when it comes to power control, you will be thrown under the bus. I do have respect for the rank and file union members who, like myself, over 40 years with the union, are happy to do our jobs. So, Mr. Colombo, I know that you have controlled the council for many years, and it shows that you're still doing it. Now you state that Mr. Gomez stated that we have no respect for members or community members that come up to the podium doing oral communications. They call us names. I was called a puppet. Hey, no big deal. I know I'm not a puppet. So we have the right also to defend ourselves. You also suggested for me, Mr. Colombo, to get with the DA, and you know what? That's a very good idea. I will, sooner or later, we'll visit the DA's office in Los Angeles. That's all I have to say for now. Thank you.
Mr. Farfan?
I think this is pretty plain and simple. I think, I respect Bruce in regards to you admitting that, yes, in the past, you were at fault for maybe having a passion that drove you to be, at times, rude, maybe inconsiderate, whatever it may be, okay? I understand that you're doing better in order to transition, to be a lot more calmer. But I think, as the mayor said, a point needs to be made in order to let the general public know that, we as a council, we cannot tolerate such behavior. And this particular chamber cannot be made a mockery of, when we as council members, are here to represent our community, to be leaders, to be, we have a certain responsibility to our youth, who we're role models to. And for us to go through all this, it's not only a distraction to what we're trying to accomplish as a community in regards to proceeding forward and transitioning out of, I think, the negative stigma that Hawaiian Gardens has had. This does not allow us to move forward. Obviously, it causes disruption amongst staff and amongst the general population that lives in Hawaiian Gardens. And in order to move forward, we as a council obviously had to do our part in working together. And we have to, do what we can to say, hey, you know what, we can't tolerate this. And we hope that by implementing this, that, we all have an understanding that, whatever is the past is the past. We can move forward, but let's not go back to such behaviors that are disruptive. And, like I said, it makes me seem like the city is regressing as a direct result of such behaviors. And Ray, I don't really think you have anything to do with this, because you communicate yourself quite well. You're not really arguing here. You're expressing your opinion, and you're doing it in a manner which it's very controlled. Okay, so I know at the last meeting you said no. Well, I want to be censored also, and I can't agree with that, because you're here. You have your arguments, but they're in a manner where we could still at the end of the day still get along, and I respect that. It's just difficult at times, when we're yelling at each other. And we can't hear what one another is trying to communicate. And yeah, I understand that's passion, but at the same token, we need to control our passion in order to allow one another to talk and to express our message to the community. And I said this before, that we all represent different segments of the population here within the city. And there's certain things that have happened that you want to raise, you want to make people aware of. And obviously you guys have done that, and you guys, we commend you for that. But there's, we got to work together in order for the city to just proceed forward and get what we want to accomplish as a council. And we all have goals that, we have set for ourselves. So let's, work together, do what we got to do. And let's hope that we don't have to deal with this in the future, But I have to support the actions of the mayor. And let it be known that these actions cannot be tolerated, and hope that they won't be done in the near future. So.
Since the mayor used council norms and procedures and the documents that this council has adopted, I thought that I would take a look at it as well. On page 128, Council Norms and Procedures, it says, to take courageous action when necessary to keep the city of Hawaiian Gardens as a well-run, well-managed, innovative city. I believe that that's what I have done. I have taken courageous action when necessary. And what is always agreeable or acceptable or politically correct is not always the right thing to do. When we picketed City Hall with the rage group that Valerie Mason made mention to as a derogatory term, rally against gentrification efforts is what that stood for. And we were rallying as a neighborhood against what we felt was an effort to gentrify the city. That was my prerogative. That was the people's prerogative. It was their right to speak out and say what they felt was happening to them. And there was quite a lot of people in the community that agreed with that stance. And the acronym RAGE has been used before in the city by a group that Sue Underwood started. And she's never been attacked for being a radical, crazy person. The fact is it was a courageous stance to go against what was politically correct at the time. Mayor Gomez, you were sitting here as mayor then. And I remember watching person after person after person come to the dais. And you didn't do what the council norms and procedures said. You didn't thank each of them for coming. You just simply said you have 20 seconds. Over and over again, you gave those people absolutely no response, which made them even more angry. And maybe you just felt uncomfortable and didn't know what to do. But the way it came across to us is the same way that I have seemed to come across to you. Very rude, inconsiderate, and full of themselves. That's how the people felt that stood up then. And that's still how a lot of people feel. And they've just given up, plain and simple. So I think I've been courageous. I don't think that I've always done it in a correct manner. And I've told you already that I apologize for some of the name calling that I did, especially the monkey one. And I did apologize for that, if you recall. But, you know, once words are said, all you can do is apologize for them and move on or not. So there have been times where I've frowned. I've seen some of those tapes. I look pretty mad. I am mad. But I'm mad at the situations and the way that they are. And if I hated people as much as I've been told I hate people, I would have left this community a long time ago. I have been accused of being a terrible pastor, a terrible person. I've been demonized. I've been kicked around by people. I've been called a liar myself. I've been called a liar by people who I've given thousands of dollars to. All right? And so I know they're a liar. When they stand there and say that I've done nothing for them or their children, I know they're a liar. And I have documented proof, Mr. Colombo, if you'd like to see it. It's just that, you see, I'm a council member, and I'm not allowed to present such a document. That would be illegal, I've been told. All right? So you see, my hands are tied left and right. I hear things that are said in closed sessions, and I can't speak about them because that's illegal. But I know what's happening in closed sessions sometimes, and I know things that have been said. And I know one thing that is said by a person, and then suddenly they're saying something else from here. And it makes me mad, and I'm disgusted by it. What you say behind closed doors, say in front of people, or don't say anything at all. Yeah, I've been frustrated immensely by this position because I've never seen anything like it in my life. I have never seen so many people be so two-faced. I have never seen so many people be so self-centered. I have never seen so many public servants serve themselves. And what I say, I will continue to say because I have the right to say it. It's not politically correct, but I believe it's courageous. The council and the city administrator, it says on page 129, are supposed to be a participatory team. And in protest to that, Ray and I are not considered and have not been considered as participants. From the moment we walked in, I never received a handshake from Mayor Gomez to welcome me to the city council. I did receive a call from Councilmember Farfan congratulating me that night. I was impressed with that. It was very professional, but not from the mayor. It says council members will care and have respect for each other. You tell me that I need to respect you. I don't feel that I've ever been respected. People come up here and they bombard me with accusations and rude comments. You've never, ever said, you can't do that. This is a council member. This is incorrect. You've never defended me like that. There have been times that you have held council meetings and started them late when Mr. Farfan is late, but you've never shown me that courtesy, not once. As a matter of fact, if my watch was incorrect this evening, I think you started early a little bit. You say that council members are, it says in the Council values that council members will be straightforward with no hidden agendas. I believe that there have been hidden agendas here since I've started. When we first came in, the C document, as we called it, the Kavanaugh document, the way that that was handled by our city attorney, by our city administrator, by council, was not the way it's supposed to be handled. The violation of the Brown Act, that this council was even called on by our own city attorney. I remember Farfan saying, well, what can they do to us? Wow. Why didn't you guys get censured? Because we were only 2 council members, not 3. So, respect? I don't feel it. The City Council will not direct cheap shots at each other during public meetings, in the press, or at any other time and place. Well, boy, I sure got a lot of cheap shots when I wasn't even running for City Council this last election. As a matter of fact, there were so many lies spread about me and my ministry and what I do, I couldn't even believe it. And the Cerritos Community News was chief among those liars. And yeah, I used the word liar again. What are you supposed to call somebody who's not printing the truth, not speaking the truth, knowingly? What do you call that person? I don't know. I guess my vocabulary is limited. I think it's a lie. There are many other things that I listed here. For sake of time, I don't need to go over each and every one of them. But I do want to say this about Dr. Mathis's attempt to put together some council norms and procedures. I believed when I first read them, and I still believe, that they were put together at a time when the public was outcrying, and they were put together to make the public be quiet. I think that they're very vague. I think that we paid an overinflated amount of money for them. I think this is basic 101 material, which is another thing that I've protested since I've been on this council, is spending things unwisely. Vague comments like the mayor's role. Each mayor is unique. The role is defined by the person. Well, my goodness. If the role is defined by the person, why did we need to pay a consultant to write this? Does that mean each mayor just does whatever they want? Defines his own position? Defines when he can bring down a mallet and when he can tell someone to be quiet, or when he can stand up and simply walk out of a meeting because he doesn't want to do it anymore? I mean, let's define the role of the mayor if we're going to have norms and procedures. This document is so vague that it is pointless in providing any direction or clarity. I think that's something that if we really looked at it, we would agree upon. City council members will treat everybody with courtesy. Does that mean whether they're treated courteously or not by other council members? Or by the public? I mean, give me a break. Our own staff hasn't done that. Of course, I am a council member. I guess I'm held in higher esteem. But it sure doesn't feel like it. Each member may share his or her views about the issue and the reasons for his or her vote. I guess that is the cherry on top for me. It's in our norms and procedures. Each member may share his or her views about the issue and the reasons for his or her vote. That's what I try to do. That's what I tried to do, which started this whole censure procedure. And I was rudely silenced with a mallet. And I did not get elected so that I could be silenced with a mallet. When I was out there in the public, I was silenced with, "You have 20 seconds." And I had to abide. When I became a council member, I am not going to be silenced when I have something to share, which is my view about an issue and the reason for my vote on an issue. Each speaker will be thanked, Mr. Mayor. You don't thank people that you don't agree with. And I know this is hard, but if you're going to hold me to these norms and procedures, I think you better look in the mirror. Mayor allows other members to speak first and then gives his or her views in a summary. But you don't always allow members to speak, and your summaries are often very biased. Again, I'm going to skip a lot of this stuff. But I have pin marks on so many things here. Each person who addresses the City Council, page 141E, each person who addresses the City Council shall do so in an orderly manner and shall not make personal, impertinent, slanderous, or profane remarks to any member of the Council, staff, or general public, Mrs. Colombo. That goes for your council member, Barry Bruce, as well. When you stand up at the dais. But of course, the mayor didn't stop that. And you're a staff person. What kind of an example are you setting? All such slander towards me has been allowed by the mayor. Every mayor that has sat here since I've been on this council. Persons who address the council shall not address the council as, or shall, I should say, address the council as a whole, and shall not engage in dialogue with individual council members. I have been addressed personally over and over and over again. Nothing has ever been said by the mayor to stop such a thing. I think I've said enough regarding that. I would like to close with this remark, though. And this will be politically incorrect. Essentially, we have a city of roughly 16,000 people who are allowing 80 employees of the city, of which only 47 of them live in Hawaiian Gardens, to control their city government. Controlling them and their elected council majority is a union which has its own political interest in mind. In fact, this union has this city, in my opinion, in a financial and performance stranglehold that at one point all 5 council members once agreed upon as being detrimental to this city. Now, of course, your council majority is indebted to them for their re-elections. Obviously, tonight, they take orders from their own development director and union vice president, Joe Colombo, to censure me. Or should I more accurately say, to censor me, or to shut me up. We have also often heard from his wife and union treasurer spokesperson, Lucy Colombo. And as the city's assistant city clerk, she has often left her work here at the dais to go to the counter there and berate me, and then returns as a trusted employee. Never mind that nepotism is exclusively forbidden in our contract for everyone else in the city. But our MOU with the union allows Mr. and Mrs. Colombo this unique privilege. Is there any other city that has this arrangement? I don't know. I can't imagine. I mean, is this transparent government? This union tag team wants to shut me up and to keep the public from the truth. And what the mayor could not do with his mallet, they hope they can do with a public censure. The mayor, at our last meeting, asked to censor me, mistakenly. To censor means to eliminate anything that is objectionable. Our city attorney rightfully corrected him. You cannot censor another council member, Mr. Mayor. I've been elected by the people to express my ideas and opinions, and Mr. Rodriguez and I will do exactly that as long as we sit on this council. And when we don't sit on this council anymore, I am sure that we will exercise our rights as residents of this city and give you our 3 minutes as we did before. Tonight you have a council majority, and you will make any decision that you want for the union. But it is only a formal complaint in writing. You have no legal right to shut me up. And the truth that I will continue to speak, I will continue to speak. Whether the union likes it or not, whether you like it or not, and whether you bang your mallet or not. It's my right, elected by the people. I will, in the future, as I am right now, be as careful as I possibly can not to raise my voice, not to make rude comments, not to call people names, and for that I do apologize. And I assure you that no matter how I'm treated, I will be much better, and I believe I have been. It's been a learning situation for me. But I will not shut up, and I probably never will be politically correct. Thank you.
Okay. I think we've all made our point, and whether we agree with Mr. Bruce or Mr. Rodriguez or not, I don't think it'll solve anything more by us going into another prolonged statements of making accusations against each other. So I think we made our statement. What we're saying, Mr. Bruce, is that this is a formal announcement to the community that we believe your behavior is inappropriate, and we want the community to know that we are not in agreement with the behavior that you've used over the past few years. I hope things will get better. And no, we know we're not going to shut you up. We don't want to shut you up. We just want this meetings to be able to run in a professional manner, that everybody gets to have their say. We get the work of the city done and move on without the personal attacks. And I hope in the future that's the way it will work. I do want to respond to one thing you said, though, because you called me two-faced. And I think I'll look in the camera and tell the public, if I have two faces, why would I choose this face to wear? Think about that, okay? But again, I think that we're not going to. Best not to go on, because we can go on all night calling each other names, and that's not going to serve any purpose. So we do have a motion on the floor and a second to censure Mr. Bruce, and I will ask the city attorney if there's anything that I think as part of my motion I will say that there is no attempt to try to impose any punishment on Mr. Bruce. We're not saying we want to have him flogged or anything, but we just want this statement made that the department in the city chambers has not been the way it should be, and we want in the future that it improve. And we hope the public understands that we do not approve of the way it's been. We want it to improve, and we're going to do our best to keep their proper decorum in these meetings. So with that, I'll ask for a vote. Do we need to take a... I made a motion and Victor seconded it. Oh, Michi seconded it. So the motion was to censure Mr. Bruce. Do we need to take roll call, or can we just...
You can do voice vote or you can do roll call, whatever you call.
Why don't we do it roll call so it'll be on the record that way?
It would be anyway. Roll call.
Councilmember Canada?
Yes.
Councilmember Rodriguez?
No.
Councilmember Bruce?
Abstain.
Mayor Pro Tem Farfan?
Yes.
Mayor Gomez?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay. Let's see where I have my agenda item. Item E, successor agency RDA, adopt resolution number 2012-006 to approve pre-issue warrants from regular warrants in the amount of $4,689.85.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? No. Roll call.
Oh, hold it. Discussion. I thought that this wasn't going to cost any money on this panel.
It does cost money because we are required to post agendas, comply with the Brown Act, and follow the formalities. But the board members are not being compensated. There's no stipend for the board members.
So we have all the board members now, is that correct?
Yes.
So
We have our first meeting tomorrow afternoon.
now, is this an open meeting, a public meeting?
It's a public meeting, subject to the Brown Act. It was posted like any other meeting.
So what time is the meeting tomorrow?
3 o'clock.
3 o'clock? Thank you.
I have a question about, again, pre-issued warrants. I mean, I know we get to see them after the fact, but it still bothers me that we're not privy to see them in advance.
City Council is privy, actually. I think there's a finance committee that
Yeah, Mr. Bruce, Mayor and council can come in at any time to request any financial information, and you're more than welcome to review that.
Is there a particular date that it's approved by the Finance Committee before it goes to council?
The Finance Committee has not been reviewing them as of late. We have been doing that through the staffing process. Usually it's a supervisor, department head, finance director, and then the requisitions receive my final approval.
So we get the agenda on Thursday afternoon. When is the finance warrants are completed? I mean, what date prior to Thursday?
I'll allow Mr. Sung to respond to that.
The requisitions and the agendas prepared is ready the Tuesday before the Thursday.
A week prior to the city council meeting, David? Is that what you're saying?
The agenda is prepared on Thursday, and all the is a Friday before the Thursday. Yeah.
Because I think it would be a good idea to eliminate this problem for me to meet with you as soon as you have the warrants ready, and I can go over them with you. If I have any questions in that time, we can
Mr.
resolve
Rodriguez,
them.
you can come in the Tuesday before the council meeting and review them.
I think.
Or any time, actually, but that's when they're all packaged.
That's when they're all
Right.
packaged. That's why I wanted to have the warrants. Okay, thank you.
The redevelopment as well as the others? All
Yes,
of them?
all of them.
And so they don't go out to be paid until what? The end of the day that Tuesday?
They are paid before the end of that Tuesday.
They're paid that day?
Yes.
What, at the end of the day or during the day?
It's during the day.
But that is the day they're paid, and that is the day that it's officially finished, right?
Well, why don't I do this? Because there is a lot of questions regarding the warrants. I'll have David prepare a little presentation on the whole process, the payment process. We'll have dates, and we'll even provide some options for council to come in if they wish to review them. We'll just lay it all out for you. So it's less confusing.
That would be good.
Is that okay with you,
Yeah.
council?
Okay, so then we were about to take roll call on this, correct?
Councilmember Canada?
Yes.
Councilmember Rodriguez?
Yes.
Councilmember Bruce?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Farfan?
Yes.
Mayor Gomez?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay. Go down to item F, new business, there's none. Item G, closed session, there's none. Oral staff reports.
Yes, staff would like to remind the community about our upcoming Arbor Day event, and that event is scheduled for this Saturday, April 28th, from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. And this year the event will be held at the Mary Rodriguez Senior Center garden area. So that's Saturday the 28th, and we'll be celebrating Arbor Day. And also along the lines of the city's campaign regarding health awareness and the Activate Hawaiian Gardens campaign that you heard about earlier this evening, yesterday we started our Zumba classes. The classes are going to be held on Mondays and Wednesdays for now from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. We're looking at adding an evening night. But just yesterday being the first day, we had over 40 participants. So we're encouraged about the attendance so far. So once again, that's Zumba classes on Mondays and Wednesdays from 11 to 12 at the C. Robert Lee Activity Center.
Right, and just for council's and the general public's information, I've also asked our Human Services Director to work on scheduling in an evening class because it seems to be extremely popular. So we're going to be doing that also.
Okay.
Any other staff reports?
No other staff reports?
I'll have a little update for you all. I just wanted to inform council that staff and I are currently working on preparing next year's budget. We will be meeting with the Finance Committee this Friday on several items. One will be to go over our initial proposal or our initial budget, and the other will be the Finance Committee to meet with the City Auditor, and that's this Friday, just as a reminder, as I mentioned at one of the prior City Council meetings.
Okay, oral council reports.
I wanted to ask Steve Gomez, did the city make money off the carnival? I know it rained on Friday. Do we make up for it on the Saturday and Sunday?
Yes, actually, considering we only operated 2 days instead of 3, the city's portion was just over $14,000.
Okay, thank you. I got a lot of comments from the residents that they really enjoyed the carnival and the parade. I haven't seen a tape on the parade, of course, being in the parade. So I'd like to eventually see the CD. So I want to thank staff, all the staff, for their hard work and making it possible. So I want to thank all the staff. Also, since I go to the Vita in Hawaiian Gardens, I had the administrator came up to me and he wanted me to thank one of our staff members and I'm sure he's in Public Works, for covering the graffiti that has been happening at the Davila unit. So he personally came up to me to let the staff tell that staff member that he really appreciates the help from our city. Okay. Also, she has already left, but I wanted to congratulate Nidia Mateos, who was nominated as Outstanding Volunteer, Parent Volunteer for Hawaiian Gardens. I also wanted to mention Mr. Ricardo Sanchez was nominated for our school district as outstanding teacher. He's a first grade teacher at Ferguson School in Hawaiian Gardens. This event was put together by the Los Angeles County Bilingual Directors Association. I was able to attend this event, and I learned something, that there are scholarships given by this organization to undocumented students. And so I would like to encourage the undocumented students to look into getting scholarships from this organization. And this organization just doesn't cover ABC, it covers a lot of the other school districts in LA County. Thank you.
Yes, I want to congratulate the staff for the parade. Yeah, I think it was a great success. And the community seemed to enjoy the parade. They were out there sitting on the curbs, and they were just happy campers over there. I want to also ask Mr. Marquez, what's happened with our Veterans Memorial? The last time we had a meeting with Volts, they said they were going to come back to us in about 2 weeks, and it's been probably 2 months. What's going on with that?
I believe last time we met, they were a bit ahead of schedule. And Joe, you can chime in because I probably won't remember all the details. But at that point, yeah, they said they were ahead of schedule and that we would probably be meeting in a shorter time span than they had originally anticipated. But to date, I haven't received any recent updates, unless you have any, Joe. But I know we're on track to getting it done this year, for sure.
Yeah, I don't have any more recent update than that. As you know, I've been out of town, and Ismail has not been in today, so we'll try to get an update out tomorrow, but we are ahead of schedule.
We'll provide you an update tomorrow. I'll send Council a memo.
Let's not hesitate. Let's get it going.
No, right. There's a performance schedule that was included in their services, and as far as I know, it's pretty close to the times that are specified in there. But we will make sure to provide you all with an update tomorrow.
Thank you.
I just wanted to, like my fellow council members, thank staff for all their hard work and dedication for this the annual parade and carnival. Obviously, it was a great success. A number of people attended the carnival, and it's just nice to see all the residents out there enjoying it. So, thank you.
I'll say the same. The carnival parade are always a great time, and there's so many people out there just enjoying themselves. So once again, thank you to the staff for all the hard work. I know that there's so many logistics go into this. From the experience I had in the meetings, planning meetings, that I wonder. I don't know how Steve coordinates it all. It's very, very difficult challenge. You do a good job. I've been able to serve as the city's representative for the past few years on the Celico WIB board, which is the Southeast Los Angeles County Workforce Investment Bureau. But what they do is they have an office in Cerritos, and they get grant money to help find jobs for people, community members. So one of their tasks is to train people, not just send them, to a burger stand, but to train them for something, a career type thing. And so this past month, I was appointed by the other members of the 7 cities to be the chair for this coming year. So what that means is these bi-monthly meetings, one of the things will be held here in the city. But more importantly, we've had some new members from other cities come on board, and we've taken a proactive approach, and they want to change how the program has been run so that we can be more effective. And I think it's going to work a lot better in the future. I want to thank those board members for their input, and I'm looking forward to a year of some really good work from that organization. Again, the sports complex, we talk about it. I'm there almost every night walking the track. There's some amazing to see so many people walking. The kids are playing soccer and the parents are walking. And now we've got the baseball teams out there playing ball. So it's a great time for everyone, and I want to hope they just keep on coming out. And I think we're going to incorporate some of these Activate Hope Hawaiian Gardens programs into that. We've already got the walking club, and Eric gave me he wore me out in the boot camp last Friday. I was sore for days, but I'll try it again this Friday. I don't know how far I'll be able to keep up with him. Actually, it's a bunch of ladies and me last Friday, and I was having a hard time keeping up with them. So, but anyways, it was great to see all the people out there enjoying their time. The final thing is on the subject of education. I mentioned last meeting with a school board member, Linda Johnson, about trying to get more communication, more involved in what's happening in our community. And so we've organized a visit to Ferguson on Monday. Her and I are going to go there to meet the staff. And so I want to thank her again for her making her commitment to be approachable and to be here for our community. And I don't know, I don't think this had anything to do with these communications we've been having with her, but this past Saturday, there's a Latino club from Whitney had a fundraiser in our recreation center, and they're raising money for this Bridge to Middle School program. And I managed to get some information. I'll have copies made to get the rest of the city council. That they're doing is they have a month-long summer program for for 6th grade students from Ferguson and Hawaiian elementaries, focusing on the math school skills and helping to get them prepared for the middle school participation. They have teachers and seniors, students volunteering to run the program. It's going to cost $5 for the month of education. So, I want to thank them for doing this. And while there is a process, the students will be chosen by the staff at their elementary schools. It is open to any students, whether they're going to Whitney or not. So. Again, I think it's a good thing for our children. I want to thank them for providing this program, and I hope it's a success. And finally, I want to just close the meeting in memory of Lydia Pacheco, a longtime resident of the community who passed away this past week. She's one of the original residents on the block that I live when the neighborhood was built in the early 1960s, and she had, her sons had a band, Pacheco band, that it was really popular in the community. People loved to go hear them play and go to the dances when they were there. So they're a wonderful family. Unfortunately, she lost two of her children before her, Raymond and our good friend Vicky, who was a former employee and a recreation commissioner here in the community. So again, and just close this in memory of her, and I hope the best for her family. I also need to note, we just found out today that, and I don't know if I'm supposed to read this or not, Sue, I don't know if you want me to mention. Yeah, former council member Betty Schultz had suffered a fall and broke her hip yesterday, so she's in the hospital right now. We wish her well and a speedy recovery, and again, our prayers go out to her and her family as well. So with that, we'll adjourn the meeting until the next regular scheduled meeting for May 8th.